Greetings, chess friends. Today, we are back looking at a legend, Lasker, and one of his finest games against an American, Frank Marshall. In this game, which has been well documented, I would say the best lesson we are learning is really building up a beautiful attack. White starts an attack with seemingly no pieces involved, and by the end, he has a full army swarming the Black King. A Petrov defense here. This game was played in Russia, the so-called Russian defense, although here, typically the move would be d4 at this moment nowadays. The game was played in 1914 in the famous St. Petersburg tournament involving Alekhine, Capablanca, and Lasker, and the rest of the field was left far behind. Queen e7, d3, knight f6, bishop g5. Allowing the queen trade. Now, a little note to the viewers, Marshall, the American, was a real attacking player. And so queen trades did not really suit his style. In addition to that, white would have 3 pieces developed here, and black only 1, although it's black to move, and black is no worse. But maybe at the time they thought a little behind in development. Attacking players want to keep the pieces, so bishop e6. I should mention here that Lasker is the world chess champion at the time of this game. In this tournament, he defeated Capablanca pretty soundly, and from there, reasserted his dominance over the chess world. Knight bd7, castles queenside. Natural move, as both bishops are kind of stuck at the moment. The difference is that white's bishop actually does wake up with a fury. h6, bishop h4. I want to mention that these so-called superfluous knights are a bit redundant in chess, common occurrence, and if white is to take this knight, you would actually be helping the other knight to wake up. When we just retreat, the knight in the back on d7 actually remains a very passive piece. So not trading, keeping the pin, keeps black a bit tangled. g5, it was frustrating, and you see black lashing out a bit. Bishop g3, an easy move to play. And knight h5. Again, maybe having to do with this knight needing somewhere to go. Maybe he was trying to trade a knight for a bishop. Also, this bishop very likely to come out this way, although it's far too late. d4. A great move, in my opinion. Giving this bishop at least a glimmer of freedom. Knight takes g3. H takes g3. For those a little newer to chess, if you have 2 options to capture a piece with pawns, usually you want to take towards the center. Not only that, but this one opens the rook file. Doesn't have much of an effect on this game, but in general, that's a good policy. Improve your pieces. g4, threatening the knight. Knight h4. And I'm not sure why he chose this square. Perhaps knight d2 would have worked as well. But you can imagine one day the bishop coming to g7, the king having castled left to right, and a move like knight f5 could be very serious. d5. A good central move. Had black just castled queenside, this could have gotten ugly after d5. I think trying to prevent d5 by white is a good idea. Notice the bishop wouldn't have anywhere to go. This pawn would be guarded. This square would be guarded. Perhaps some trickery with the check here is possible, as we'll see in a variation in just a moment. But d5 is a very sensible move. Lasker realizes the time is now, and he does need to strike quickly in order to keep the initiative. Queen b5. A very good move, not only psychologically threatening black's position, but also freeing the bishop, which has been buried and clearly hasn't made one move yet. You need to involve all of your pieces in order to be a great chess player, make an attack really work. Here, black castles. Almost for sure we could have predicted that move. To those of you that are thinking, why not a move like b6 or c6, you really are creating some holes in your position. In other words, this pawn is hanging, so c6 might just drop it. But b6 really allows, let's look at that, all the light squares to be taken advantage of. You can see that safety is not what black has after that move, and probably just leading to a similar result. Castle's long, a very human move, and I love the way the game continues from here. Had Lasker captured here on d5, there was a very nice trick in store for him. Again, Marshall, a sneaky tactical player. Bishop would have taken that knight. apparently a free pawn, but it will cost white here. Queen takes in a very slick move involving some pieces that haven't made one move. Queen g5. A really nice move. Check. Hitting the queen, the only move to save your queen is to capture, but subsequently there is a pin along the h-file, and it is black that will be winning this knight. A really nice tactic. However, Lasker was well aware and did not fall for this quote-unquote free pawn. So we've been coasting along a little bit without much depth, but let's really take a look at this final attacking sequence of moves. Queen a5 is how it all begins. What does this move do? Threatens the pawn on a7, usually a weak point in the queenside castle. Almost for sure, you would expect a move like king b8 or a6 as occurred in the game, but there's really not much else other than just allowing this to be taken, which is very, very scary. Remember, Marshall was a very aggressive player, and being on the defensive is not fun for a player with that mentality. He does play a6, and see if you can predict Lasker's next move as the attack starts raging. Bishop takes a6, the engine's top move, an excellent attacking move, and really a sacrifice of 2 pawns for the minor piece. 1 pawn there and a second. But what else? We have 1 queen involved in the attack, but that's clearly not enough. The magic number is usually 3 pieces that makes a great attack in chess. If you can involve any pawns, that's great, but 3 back row pieces, usually not your king. So here we have just our queen. Well, the first one I think is easy. The knight. Knight b5, which is immediately threatening queen a7, and queen takes c7 checkmate. Knight b6 comes from Marshall, which uses the queen to guard this square. And here we start to see the true skill of Lasker. The next piece to join the fray, rook d3. You can see we're going to either b3 or a3, and the attack has really started. We have our 3 pieces, rook, knight, and queen, and they are good ones, and they are well placed. The material doesn't matter as much here. Look at the black pieces far from the defense of their king. Queen g5, that's check, no big deal. Bishop d6, again, having to guard the c7 square with this bishop, its first move, but white is already completely winning. Rook b3, an excellent square for the rook, staring straight at the king, and really black is very close to the edge. Rook e8 doesn't do much, and I absolutely love the next move, which is the engine's best move. a4. When he plays this move, I love introducing the pawns into the attack. Clearly, the next move coming would be a5 if we get an opportunity. Force this knight from its defensive post, and then the attack continues, and we're getting our material back, or checkmate, or both. Bishop f5, desperate. Knight a7, an unlikely candidate, but what is the threat? No less than mate in 1. Knight c6 is mate in 1. I will point out here that chasing the king with check here really just runs out of steam right there. There's no other real threatening checks. The king potentially can run and even could be safer than it was. So knight a7 is a very nice move. The next move, bishop d7, again, guarding the checkmate. What else can you do? Now comes a5, forcing the knight from his post, but it can't move, pinned by the rook. And we are very close to the end. Queen d2, scary looking, but no danger. The white king always has a place to run. A takes b6, what else? Why not? Rook e1, I hope with a little smile on his face, Lasker just moves the king. He doesn't even trade rooks. It doesn't matter, as we are so close to checkmate, black is paralyzed. c6, just praying the files stay closed. Knight b5, a stunning move that ends the game on the spot. Black resigns here. Of course, you could take this, but it's no matter. Queen a7 is just unstoppable. Let's see a sample. Pawn takes, queen a7, king c8, b7, the only move. And then look at this move. Double check and promotion. And we have a whole choice of checkmates. How many checkmates are there? Fun question. A whole choice of checkmates for white and a beautiful attack by Lasker. I really, of course, the bishop move is nice, but I really love the additional pieces. Knight coming into the attack, then the rook, then the A pawn. An absolute game changer, and Lasker proved way too strong for the other players in this event. Really a fantastic game. Love the games of Lasker and Marshall, but this one was just too much. Great attack. Remember, 3 pieces makes an attack in chess, and from there, you should be able to hopefully checkmate them. If you attack with 1 piece or even 2, often that attack is going to fall flat. Hope that helps everyone, and you keep improving your attacking game. Again, we'll try to find some more exciting games from the legends here. Hopefully you haven't seen too many of them, but if you do, maybe we can shine a little light on those. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you soon.